Hi guys. So now that we have learned all the basic commands of the Git protocol, we made a repository, we committed changes to our repository, and then we pushed all those changes. We can see the commit logs, and we have done all the basic things that was required at a very basic level, at a very primary level. So now we will learn and we will get introduced to GitHub. So you can open this site www.github.com on your browser. So what is GitHub? Have you ever heard of GitHub? And have you ever thought if you already know about GitHub, then please skip the entire video. And still, I would recommend you to go through the complete video so that you can refresh all the concepts and everything. So, what is GitHub? GitHub is a web-based Git repository hosting service. It offers all of the distributed revision control and source code management, which we basically generally called as SCM, the functionality of Git as well as adding its own features. Now coming to one of the most important question that you must be thinking as of now, that why to use GitHub? What's the logic behind it? What's the problem with just Git? Why we are moving to the GitHub and all these things? So suppose you are working on a project with John, he's your colleague and he lives in Boston, USA, and you are in Delhi, India, and both of you are working on a single file called index.html. Suppose the name of the project is ABC, and there is one file index.html on which both you and John are supposed to work. And what happens is, in India when you are working, John is sleeping, and in US when John works, you sleep. So how will you collaborate with John? With collaborate, I mean, how will you interact with John? How will you share the changes that you have made in index.html file with John? How will you do all these things? So one of the easiest solution would be, like, in the when you are working and John is sleeping, you made changes in the file, and when you are done making changes in the file, you simply email that file to John, and same process is repeated by John. But this process will take a lot of time, it will be hectic, error prone, and most important, no records of the changes made to the file are maintained anywhere. You write a new email every day, every evening, and so does John. So, so now suppose you wrote some code in index.html last month, and after 1 month, like today, you just realized that no, the last 1 month work is absolutely bullshit. I really don't want this last 1 month's code to reflect in my actual production software. So will it make sense to write the entire index.html file the way it was 1 month back again? Do you even remember how the software looked 1 month back? You don't. You can't write that code entirely similar. There will be some changes. So, like I said, writing the entire code is as stupid as you can think. Even if you have saved all the files in a folder with changes made on every date and labeled with a metadata that yeah, this change has been made on this particular date, another change has been made on another particular date, but that would still be clumsy, difficult, and very, very, very dumb to follow this process. It will be very difficult to find a file of a particular version or date. We use Git or GitHub to counter all these challenges. Now suppose, like we discussed in earlier lectures, like if every day you and John, after you have finished your work, what you guys do every day, you commit the changes made to index.html file in the repository, and instead of saving it in your computer, just making the changes in your computer, what you do is you push these changes to GitHub. So it's a GitHub is a central repository where you are pushing where you push the changes you made to the index.html file, and then again John push the changes, he makes to the index.html file, and when the next morning when you get up, and then you simply take the pull of the changed file, and again the same process is repeated by John. So GitHub or Git maintains a record of all these changes. It also has provision to go back to any of the commits or changes you made to a file on a certain date, like we discussed in earlier lectures. Like if I had 10 commits in my file, with 10 commits, I have 10 changes in my file. So I can roll back to any of these commits, any of these changes, any of these version of the file, however you want to call it, and simply view that file. I can simply view how that file appeared a week back, or how that file appeared 15 days back, a month back, a year back, or maybe 100 years back. You can view all the changes made to the file till date and easily roll back your file to the changes. With rollback, you can go back to the file it was a week back or a 15 days back. It also has accountability. Like suppose if I made some changes, you made some changes today, and John made some changes tomorrow. So after 1 month, if your boss asks if something breaks up, like if something there is a very malicious code, so if you're asked who has written this code, so with the email thing you can't really track who has made what changes, but using Git or GitHub, you can simply see what all the things, all the lines of code that has been written by you and all the lines of code that has been written by John. So now let's get started with GitHub, and for that simply go to www.github.com or browse to or click on next on bottom right, and it will have link to this. So let's get started.